Hello again. Let's continue our exploration of the west side of Chalk Mountain here in western Nevada, about an hour and 45 minutes east of Reno by Highway 50 off the marked Dixie Valley Road. If you look at the first few videos from this series, you will find out exactly how to get here. Once on the road to Wonder and facing Chalk Mountain, as before, let's use the obvious red oxidized mining porthole to get our bearing. Here you see it in mid-mountain and to the right. If you look carefully, note the mountain just to the left, then that's north, pictured completely in shade. Between the two is a steep and very rocky canyon. Today our investigations will be limited to this area. Because the canyon has a turn and the ridge just south is so high, most of the canyon can't be seen from the road, and that's what we want, mining areas rarely visited. So proceed just a few hundred yards north from the Wonder Road, where this picture was taken, and then head cross-country towards the obvious mouth of the canyon. There is a wide spot at the mouth and a jeep trail which runs north and south to the canyon. You can get here also by four-wheel drive via an obvious rough road which runs opposite the next canyon north. When you drive to that canyon, just turn south about a quarter of a mile and you will get here. Judging from all the small and thin wood remnants, there was a wood-framed house sitting here at one time. It was pretty rudimentary and most likely relied on a tarp from most of the walls and ceiling. There were lots of round nails lying around, as well as miners' trash. I suspect there was an outhouse where this depression was. Also, you can see the metalwork of a small iron stove. To my eye, everything looks to be of vintage 1930s. The coordinates for this flat are listed in the notes above. Maybe 200 yards from the flat, almost directly east, and up the canyon, you will see tailings. Hike up to the mine. Now, on our way up, I spotted this vintage ammo box. Geez, I thought I had found a cache of miners' coins. I've never come across something like this before, but it just turned out to be a geocaching find. Here is Alfonso, my trainee helper today, displaying the box contents. Now to the mine. It's fairly thin, not very tall, and hand-carved. All the work seems to have been done just by hand. It walks back flat into the mountain a good 40 feet or more. About 30 feet in, there is a turn which blocks all the light, and so to negotiate further, you will need artificial light. The owners were obviously following a marked zone of mineralization. The color intensities are not extreme and are limited to reds, which would be oxidized iron, dull blacks, unoxidized iron, and yellows, and that would be sulfur. I sampled for just a few feet in and received some very minor positive hits. Here I am with a Falcon. So here we are inside the mine, and at this point we're using our Falcon and we're just looking around in this mineralized zone. When you get these blacks like this, you can see the black colors here. Now you're in very, very heavy iron, and the Falcon demonstrates that very well. The black that I see in real life shows up here on the video as a dull gray. Where you want to try and be is on the borders of that. And another area of mineralization. And here we're not having any luck, but because this area is so wide. But I'm looking for areas that are just where there's a lot of black, and then against that an area that's a little more red. And if I can get the difference between the two, then that would be wonderful, and that's what I'm really searching for here. Let's see here. In other words, you're looking for the boundary of seams. You notice here that rock is a lot darker again. Falcon demonstrates the iron there very nicely. And here we are right on the border, and nothing. One other interesting thing though, here, Alfonso, take a look right here, focus in on that. You might be a little too close. You might need to move it back just a little. But you can see the pickaxe markings there from the miners as they cut this area out. Love it. Now let's spend a few moments at the entrance of the mine and talk about mine safety. Okay, we're at the porthole of this mine, and the first thing you want to do for your safety if you're going to go inside is take a look at the entrance, and you want to see how much sloughing there is and where it's come from. So in other words, bring your camera down and take a look right here. Okay, this is very unstable. See, it'll move like that. So now if you take a look here, right through here, there's something that's come down, fallen down, and it's probably this rock down there. So the outside of the mine here will always have a tremendous amount of weathering to it due to the outside elements, and will be usually much more unstable than anything that's inside. If you take a look inside, you don't see all of these rocks and the sloughing and everything else there. It looks fairly nice, neat and tidy. A couple of rocks laying on the side, but not very much. But if there's anything unstable in a mine, usually it's the entrance to the porthole. So the next thing you want to do is do a tap test. And I like a long crowbar like this in order to do it, but you want to tap the rock like that. Hear the difference? Okay, so here, so this is nice and firm rock. It's stable, dangerous, and it has a hollow sound to it. So anytime you tap and it's hollow, be aware. So we're going to take that down right now. Now, this doesn't look very stable either. Well, maybe it is. Okay, so let's do a tap test here. I don't like the sound of that very much. Now, just imagine that crashing down on your head. So, always good to wear a helmet and make sure it's not plastic. It should be some kind of a metal product. And of course, here I am. I don't have anything of this sort. So don't use me as an example right now for that. Okay, so tap test again. Nice and solid. I love it. Yeah, I like that too. That'll work. Unfortunately, the nuances in the rock sounds do not transfer well to the video. Yeah, that's kind of hollow there, but this is off to the side. I'm not going to worry about it too much, but you can see how unstable this is. Okay, so anyway, this is what they were chasing, was this, and this is a mineralized zone. This is, I haven't metal detected it yet. But this is obviously some kind of a sulfur iron. We got a lot of coloration in here. It's pretty cool. We like that. And so anyway. Directly across the canyon from our mine was a prospect. This looked to be more of a cutout than the start of an actual tunnel. In any case, the canyon was far too steep to cross from our vantage. In order to access this prospect, you would need to come directly up the other side, that is north, of the canyon. The colorations on the hill look interesting. The green color in the tailings, however, means they excavated through a lot of serpentine. Another 5 minutes of intense climbing directly up the hill brought us to this prospect. Here there has been a tremendous amount of sloughing, and it has completely filled in the entrance. Usually, for temporary stability, the miners would add some parallel timbering at the entrance to support a ceiling of tin. When you find tin of this type, though, it has normally been engulfed by burden from above. Here we can see this is all a portal, and it's just all collapsed in. But you can see that there's depth to this area. There's actually a tunnel. But all of this rock from above is just, Alfonso, has just sloughed off and just covered this area up. But no doubt this is what they are after. You can tell that this material is oxidized and heavy in iron. Doesn't look very interesting, though. You want more coloration than that. But anyway, that's what they were after. At this point, you would be quite a ways up the hill. If you turn around and look towards your back, this is what you would see. Towards the middle of the picture is the road to wonder. You can also plainly see the prospect on the other side of the canyon. That's off to your right. And then there's the main road. That'd take you to wonder if you kept on moving to the north. And then right down there, straight there, is where that old house is. And there's the wood remnant, part of the wood remnants. Right there. Now we're going to back up. Back up. Come on. Okay. And our gold mine that we visited is right underneath that little plateau that you see dead center in the middle of the picture. And then we're going to move up back to the side here, up this ridge, and around. And there's a little saddle up here. There's Alfonso saying, "I've had enough, man. The old man is crazy." And then on the other side, if you just hold a straight line, you'll come across another mine, which looks very interesting. And we're going to visit that right now. Ha ha ha, but wait, there is more. So here we are at our saddle again, and I just noticed that I missed something very interesting. Another mine. And there are the tailings, right there. And then there's a little animal trail, looks like. You can see it. That leads up to the mine that I showed you originally. Right there. So let's go visit the one right over here. Here we are at the closest mine, and its tailings pile is just littered with various copper sulfides. Of course, all of these rocks share two primary constituents, copper and sulfur. The initial cut of the mine seems to be more interesting and is definitely into an oxidaceous area. Here's some views inside, however, and here I don't see much particularly noteworthy. So here we are at another porthole entrance, and you can See all of the sloughing again that we talked about before, and it's all come from back up in there. And as you look through this area from the sloughing, I see a lot of serpentine, but I also see sulfur, and I see copper. There you go. You can see the green of the copper right there. And it's all up through this area right in here. That's copper. And you can see it on the wall up there. Might be worth a metal detecting or two. This area here, I don't like this. But all in all, it looks pretty darn safe. That's solid. That's solid. Solid. Other than that one rocket was friggin' solid. So, ideally, when you go through these mine tunnels, make sure you got your crowbar and you're tapping over a little in front of where you are, just to make sure for safety. Here's the mineralization that they were after. It's right here. And you can see where there was not only copper here, but certainly iron ore and various sulfides. It must not have found very much though, as the tunnel bifurcates as soon as you get inside. One goes to the immediate right, and the other one goes virtually straight. The one to the immediate right only lasts, the tunnel itself maybe lasts 10 feet or so, and maybe we've got 25 feet on the left hand side here, so that's it. Look at that copper. So it might be worthwhile to still go ahead and double attack some of these areas here. So here's our final mine for the day, which unfortunately turns out just to be a prospect, and a pretty insignificant one at that. But let's take a look. Doesn't look very interesting here. Well, I got a little bit of timbering here. That's kind of cool. And there's the end of our prospect. Not a whole lot to it. If we go down here just a bit, I'm not seeing anything that's mineralized really. No, a little bit up here, not much. I'm going to turn around, and there's Mr. Alfonso. So here's our mine, and that was obviously a claim stake, and then here's a deep draw. And there's our road. Now you can't take that draw back to the road. It is just way too steep. We're going to head right up this hill, back over here, and up and back around. There's no easy way to get back down. We made a mistake, or I made a mistake in leading us back around the hill here. Best and easiest way to get back down, though, would be to backtrack exactly from where you came.